Troy Galloway is a construction manager and consultant, commercial and residential builder, and a certified inspector for all commercial and residential buildings. And now, here is About the House with Troy Galloway.
Welcome back to folks to About the House. This is Troy Galloway, your humble host. I really appreciate y'all joining us. We have had a lot of folks really starting to follow us, and a lot of people jumped in and really said a lot of great things about our last radio show that we did about windows. And but the name of this awesome show is About the House, and this is your audio university of everything about the house. We literally touch base on everything from construction to real estate to mortgages to insurances, to about the building components of the home. There isn't another show out there that I know of that is like this radio show, and that's why so many people, I think, are really getting into it. One of the things is that we have it on podcasts. You could follow it on YouTube TV. So with all of the information, it's just really, really hard to catch it all at one time. So by you going back, and you could re-listen to it or go back and just use it as your video library, your encyclopedia. This show is a one of a kind, and it's just like my company, Galloway Building Services. We're a one of a kind inspection company. Yes, we do home inspections and building inspections. We also do, if you're buying or selling a house, but we also do commercial inspections. So if you're buying a building, you want to make sure that you know what you're buying so that we can help you out with that, making sure you're not buying a money pit. But what we also do there's a lot of other inspectors that do this. Of course, none of them are as good as us, but, what do you say? But what makes us really more unique is that we also do construction inspections. So if you're having a job being done and you want to make sure it's being done right, you give us a call. We can inspect it, make sure that the contractor's doing what he's supposed to be doing, making sure that the right products are installed correctly. But also, too, if you have any kind of conflict with your contractor, or if you're a contractor and your homeowner thinks you're not doing it right, man, we do a lot of work for contractors also. When somebody is thinking that the job's not being done right, they give us a call. So we come in there and just take a look at it. And as I've been a builder now, I got for 42 years, a building engineer. I also got a master carpenter card out of Illinois. That must have been way back in 1982, 81. So, we're well qualified to do the inspections for you, make sure that it's being taken care of. Puts a lot of people at ease. We also do conflict resolution. What do I mean by that? What if you have a problem on your job and it's not going to get taken care of, and you got to go to court? We could help you all the way through the process of doing the report, helping you with acquiring the right type of attorney that specializes in this. We can take it all the way to depositions, all the way to the courtroom. Heaven forbid this happens, but it does. And hopefully when we come in, we can get it settled long before it ever gets to that stage right there. Something else that we're starting to see a lot of, yes, we do trip and fall. And if you get hurt, say you're in a building and somebody's done something wrong, or a construction site, you get hurt, give us a call. We come out there, we write up the documents, help you out with that too. But something that we're doing a lot more of, more and more, and this is for divorces. And, sometimes one of the parties want to keep the house and the other party has to buy them out. Well, naturally, you don't want to pay more than what the house is worth. So with our construction experience and our inspection experience, we could come in, do the inspection, do a cost analysis of what the problem, what the problems will be needed to be and what it'll be cost to fix them or repair them. And that way, when you get an appraisal, now appraisal is just naturally, as we on our shows have talked about in the past, they're just a general average of what houses like yours might be. If it's a 3-bedroom home, 2 baths, it's all in the same place, in the same neighborhood, then they just say, this is the average. Well, if you have our cost breakdown, the appraisers could take that and then deduct that from the average. Save you a ton of money. So that's one of the sadly, with all this other things happening in the world right now, divorces are happening more at a rate, an alarming rate. But anyway, let's not get there. Let's move on. Last show we did was on windows, and that was part 1. So we're going to jump right in here and get onto the second half of the windows. You know, I was so excited about this. I was in the doing my show prep on it, and we're going to get into glass, and I was so excited. I was telling everybody in the office, man, I can't wait to listen to my own show. There's a lot of great stuff here that even though I knew, I just didn't even think about it. But let's jump right in here and get started. Oh, I got it. And this is one of the quotes I found, and I thought this was really funny. So we talk about windows. We're going into the glass. But here's an old wise tale, superstition. Let me quote this here. A glass breaking in your house means good luck is coming your way. If you break the glass intentionally, then it doesn't work that way. But if you accidentally break some glass, that means evil is leaving your house and good luck is coming in. And that's from Good Luck Superstitions, Dartmouth Folklore Archive. I just thought that was kind of funny. I'd never quite heard that. But anyway, all right. Now, let's get started in our show here. And what are the 4 different types of glass? Or there's 4 main types of glass. There's a lot of different glass types out there. But what are the 4 different types of glass? And we have annealed glass, which is the basic product formed from the floating process. You have a heat strengthened glass, and heat strengthened glass is a semi-tempered or semi-tough, and sometimes what we call it is double strength glass. So, you know, if you're getting a window glass replaced, you know, it's called we call it double strength, but they call it heat strengthened glass. And then, of course, we have our tempered glass, which a lot of us are familiar with. We'll get in more into that a little bit further into the show, but also laminated glass. So, you know, these are the 4 main types of glass. There's all kinds of different things. So we're going to jump around and kind of hit some of them here. But some of the problems that we get asked a lot about glass is, and I do get asked this quite a bit, and people ask me, and this also too, if you ever do have a question, feel free to touch base with us on our webpage at www.gallowaybuildingservices.com. That's a great way. We got a comment section there, or on our Facebook page at Galloway Building Services. But here's one of the ones we get asked a lot. Can humidity cause my glass to break? Well, humidity, you know, in parts of our country here is a huge concern. And what happens is it's really what's happening is that the humidity inside the home can have the window sash. Remember, we talked about window sashes. That's the part that holds the glass that rises up and down. It causes it to deteriorate. And so all this moisture then can eventually lead to your window glass breaking or cracking, you know, because you're getting movement and it's no longer tight inside the sash. And then as your glass is heating or you know, or shrinking, depending on the weather, then you'll have the cracking. Happens a lot. One of the things I also see is, and this is in the winter time, we notice this, is that you'll have a window like in a bathroom or in a bedroom. If your gutters are leaking and it's going, you know, they're overfilling and backing up, coming down the wall, you'll get moisture coming down. You won't see this moisture, but it's coming down and around the glass. It's vinyl windows are one of the worst about this because of how they move so much. And then the movement of the vinyl sash literally will crack your glass. So if you get a cracked glass and it's mysterious, that is these are culprits that you'll be looking for. So here's the next question. Can a glass window break on its own? Well, not necessarily break on its own, but if it's improperly installed, yes, it definitely can. They will, because it's not a, I know. People say it's a poltergeist. It's a ghost in my house. No, I don't think it's a ghost. It could be. Check out our Halloween show. We did last year. You'll love it. But most of the time, honestly, it's just a proper installation. But sometimes it happens because there's chips in the glass or it's inferior glass. So, but that doesn't happen a lot. That's more of improper installation or what we hit on before. All righty. And the next question we get asked is, can heat cause my glass to break? So not only do we have some areas that are extreme high humidity, but we got some areas in our country that just, that's hundreds of degrees. 100 plus degrees. And yes, heat can do it, but glass also can break at low temperatures, like we talked about, but it also can break if you actually have too hot of glass that goes into a whole different subject. But yes, hot temperatures can cause the glass to break because of the thermal variations of inside and outside happening. So, but that's why you want to listen to this show, so you can actually get the right type of glass for your application. Now, this isn't windows that we're talking about, but this is one that I get asked about. Why do shower doors explode out of the clear blue sky? And I'm thinking we're seeing more and more of this, but it's because now shower doors, it's a tempered glass. We'll talk about tempered glass a little bit more, but most of the time why that happens is, it usually happens on your cheaper material. And it's imperfections in the glass that causes it. And, when there again, the temperatures, the difference of the inside, outside of the shower, even though it might not happen while you're taking a shower, just the movement can actually make it. And because tempered glass, the way it breaks, it doesn't crack. It breaks into millions of little tiny pieces. We're really seeing a lot more of that for some reason. I believe it's because of the cheaper glass naturally. And I just think some of our materials are just not, they're just not all our materials are U.S. made. And they're just not the same quality as what you've been used to. Another question. Can glass explode in a fire? Well, fire glass, there's different types of glass, which we'll talk about. But we have a glass like fire glass, and it's a tempered glass. Now, you'll see this on front of our wood stoves, our super hot areas. It's designed, could talk about that more in the future here, in this radio show here, but it's designed for that and how it's built. But regular glass, yes, you can't use regular glass in your wood stove or high temperature areas, like your oven glass. So, if you're in a fire in your home, we're back to windows again. Yes, in one of them rooms, that way, it does happen. Of course, if your house is on fire, I think you got a lot more worries than just that right there. You need to be thinking about getting out of there naturally. So, them are some of the questions we get asked. Get asked quite a bit. And then I know the shower doors and stuff's kind of off the mark here, but very interesting. Okay. Let's move on to some of the other considerations for your windows. And we got 3 basic characteristics of window glass that'll help you decide whenever you're deciding to get what windows that you need and the type of glass. What you really want to make sure is, and I want you to listen to this show as often as possible, that when you do have a window guy come out, what you really don't want is a window guy just selling you what he sells or she sells. Naturally, what he or she is selling is the best product in the world, but what you're really looking for is what's best product for you. So some of the things you want to consider, and ask your window salesman. If he doesn't know these answers, he's more salesman than he is knowing what he's talking about. One of them is how much natural light is transmitted by the glass. So we don't, because we do have different tintings and such for different applications of our window glass. The next one is the solar heat gain allowed by glass. Now, I got some great videos out there under Building Science, under YouTube and other areas that you could check out, and it really shows how much heat gain can come into your glass. if you got a solar heating room, you're like my house is passively solar heated on the south side of my house. I want that heat gain, right? I want to let all that heat in. But on the other sections, all the other windows that are not on the south side of the house, I want to save the heat. I don't want the heat coming in, and I don't want to lose my energy going out. So they want to make sure we talk about that or find out about that. And then the thermal conductivity of the glass, and we just briefly did touch about that. So, and all these things have to do with your local climate and your building design and the structure of the window. And like we talked about some of that the last time. So these are all things that you really want to think about. There's 6 different types of the window glasses. We did talk about the 4, but here's the 6 different things to think about here. Your insulated glass units. And these are windows with 2 or more panes separated by a spacer and are hermetically sealed. And what that means, they're airtight, so moisture not supposed to get into it. If you see moisture in it, you got a double pane window or a triple pane window. That's where you got more than one glass in your sash. They're sealed together. If you see moisture inside of there, sometimes you'll see rust inside. Literally from the divider in between the windows, you'll see rust inside of that. You see any kind of foreign objects that just does not belong. That's an indicator right there that you have a broken seal. That means that you have totally lost a lot of your insulation value. It's no different than a storm window being put on there. It's kind of hard to tell on a dirty window, but wipe your window outside and inside. That way you can double check. Gas fills are also something that we put in our windows now. And this is, we use, actually they're either krypton or argon. I believe that there's probably other ones out there, but these are special types of gas. You don't see it. You can't smell it. And when it evaporates, it's not going to hurt anything. But these actually help in between the glass. They put it in between the glass, and that helps your insulation value. This is how we get a higher energy efficient windows. And then you got the heat absorbing tints. So maybe you don't want that. Or you've got a big old glass wall and you're not really looking for that thermal imaging, and you're trying to do your very best besides, not just because of the insulated glass, but you're trying to do other things to help cut down how much energy you're coming through. So you got heat absorbing tints. And they absorb a large portion of the incoming solar heat gain. And you see a lot of that more on your commercial buildings. Or you got these atrium homes, which we talked about before in our last radio show, where it's a big glass walls. And also, too, that tinting can kind of give you a little bit of privacy, so everybody don't see you as well. That's a great thing to think about. Then also we have a low emissivity, low E coatings. Now they control non-solar heat flow through the windows, and really, we call it low E glass, and we'll talk more about that as we get into it. It really, really, really is worth the money whenever you're trying to save energy. You got reflective coatings. And then you also have some different types of selective, different type of coatings, which we'll talk about here as we go along into this. So riot glass. Now, why would I think maybe it just came up because of all the social unrest that we're happen to be having at this time. I know this kind of dates the show, but they actually call it riot glass, and there's something called a hammer glass. And wow, this stuff is 300 times stronger than regular glass. And it's virtually unbreakable. And you can use detergents to clean it. If you get graffiti on it, it cleans right off. And I'm not going to say it's cheap, but if you're in an area that you worry about that, that's a really good thing to think about. And but there's other types of glass also that's probably just as good. But I just wanted to throw that out you. And Hammer Glass they're not doing anything to sponsor this show. I have nothing to do with them. So this is my disclaimer again for that. But it did look like it was something really to think about. All righty, so then about replacing glass. This is something that we do in home inspections, as we was talking about. We get a lot of cracked windows. We get a lot of broken seals. And this is something I really want you guys to take a note of. What we have is we call it glaziers. A glazier is a glass replacement. A window company sells windows. That's the whole complete unit. Yes, you can get a glass replacement, not just for single pane, but for all of your windows, for double pane, for low E, low argon gas. But go to a glazier because it's going to save you a ton of money just to only get the glass replaced. If the rest of it's working fine, there's absolutely no reason to change your window or your window design or have a hodgepodge of different windows. A lot of times I'll go into inspections and I'll see like 3 or 4 different window brands in the house. And that's usually because they had a broken window or a bad window, and a window, what do? They get into there, they look for windows. That's naturally, right? And then they call a window guy up and he's not going to sell you a piece of glass. He does. That's not where he makes his money. They're going to sell you a whole brand new window. So contact a window glazier. That is really the best way to go. All right. So one of the questions I get asked is, what is the cheapest type of glass out there? For one, I don't recommend that you get the cheapest glass. A soda lime glass. Most common, and it's 90% glass, and it's the least expensive. And it usually contains 60 to 75% silica or sand, 12 to 18% soda, and 5 to 12% lime. Which I'm not a glass expert, but I thought that lime was kind of interesting about that. So I thought that was kind of a neat thing to think about. So we were talking about the Hammer glass, the Riot glass. Let's bounce back to that just for a minute. So is there such a thing as unbreakable glass? Well, actually, no. I know that we'll have stuff that people will call that, and we'll go a little deeper into that. But no, glass, it could shatter. It could be where you could even that Riot glass where you have to beat it really hard to get it to break. Yeah, I mean, that's tough stuff. But what it's really not just glass itself. It's got like a film and laminated film to help make it so as that it is more shatterproof. The old cars, we have tempered glass in our cars now, our automobiles, but the old safety glass is what we used to call it. Used to have, and I got an old Willys Jeep wagon, so cool, 1954 4-wheel drive. Oh, cool. Got the original glass in it. But you could literally see where they took 2 pieces of regular double-strength glass and put a film in between it and then adhered the 2 together. Well, that's kind of what we're doing now for some of this special laminated security glass. And you can get these in your house or for your office. They are, not just in your cars, so that you'll be able to, make it a lot more durable, a lot more strength. Normally we don't have that except for in areas that are more prone to have bullets and stuff flying. And we do. Oh, I got to tell you a quick story here. I'm horrible on my stories, but everybody's... Anyway, so I went to sell some windows here several years ago, and I did not know that I was in a gang house. And they was nice folks, everybody. I really enjoyed visiting with them. But when they started asking me about the different types of glass, and I said, "Oh yeah," and I said, "We actually do have this one glass that's bulletproof." And next thing I know, they've pulled out thousands of dollars in cash and give it to me. They bought them windows right then and there. My buddy, he was laughed at me. We left out of there. He said, "Did you know what you just did?" I had no idea. So anyway, bulletproof glass is definitely out there, and we could talk more about that. But and that's only in areas that you might think that you have that problem. Sadly, this is a problem. Sadly, we are actually hearing about children and people sleeping at night and bullets coming in and killing these people even while they're sleeping at night. So that's why I brought it up. It's just something that you really do want to think about, just because it's just the world we live in. So some of the benefits also here of we'll call it shatterproof riot glass if you want. Actually, that's what they calling it. That's kind of a new name. We've never really called it before that. We just called it shatterproof. But it can literally be retrofitted. Get this now. It could be retrofitted over the existing glass, okay? So you can literally to check this out from your window companies. Google it, whatever you need to. Now, does it typically require a frame replacement? So that means you don't have to replace that whole window to get that particular type of glass. It's cheaper than getting a full window replacement by just doing that. And it's safety glass. You can put this in your windows and our doors. It also it's also great for actually. We talk about energy savings. It can help you with your energy savings too. It just has a lot of different type of great attributes to it. So we'll just we talk about the bulletproof windows. When you do get this, and depending on where you're living at, you might be able to even ask your insurance company, might be able to save you a little bit of money, on your insurance for that. Now, people say, well, what if I get this type of glass that you're talking about, Troy? Does that affect the actual visual? Does it affect the glass coming out? Does it affect the glass going, by seeing in, seeing out? No, it doesn't. It's really, really come a long ways. So that is don't worry about that. Now, typically, it's going to cost you more money per glass. And if you're really looking for the upper end on this end of it, you're looking at maybe a $15,000, $20,000 extra for all when we're talking about whole house window replacement as an average. But normally it's like, $3,000 to $5,000 difference. And is it really, really bulletproof glass? Well, no. When we get into bulletproof, it's really more of a different type of acrylic, polycarbonate acrylic material, or a glass-clad polycarbonate. This is really what it is. It's not the glass, but we call it the glass because it's all part of it. But that's all right. They'll understand what you're talking about, but just don't think you can actually think it's a piece of glass. And I just wanted to make that clear because I don't want anybody to misunderstand. Something we talked about just a second ago about distortion in through the glass. Here is a neat thing here. Now, we see a lot of our old houses still have, believe it or not, the regular glass still inside of it. And they're heavily lead. We call it lead glass, and they got a lot of lead in it. And it looks like a carnival glass. What I mean is that when you look at it at an angle, you'll see kind of distortions and such. So it really does make a big difference, a visual. But if you get your windows replaced, don't break that lead glass. There's people around on the West Coast that would love to buy that glass because they don't have any out there. So it's more in your older neighborhoods. So check that out. That's pretty cool. So if you see a little distortion, that's what you got there. Probably just old lead glass if you have a lead house or an old house. All righty. Well, we talked about some safety glass. We'll stay right on that safety. I just had to throw that in there. So we also have what more folks are used to is called tempered window glass. And tempered glass, this is usually just the process of how they make the glass. And it's a toughened glass, or safety glass as we called it for a long time, and it's thermal or chemically treated to increase its strength compared to normal glass. It does cost a little bit more, but it's a code thing that you have to use a lot of times in different applications. So when does your windows really need to be treated? Well, one of the times is we have to, and this is a code thing, now it's code in almost all across the United States now, but if the glass is more than 9 square feet, and a single piece of glass that is, and that is 18 inches. I'm just reading the code here actually, so I'm cheating a little bit, but it's a piece of glass that is 18 inches or less from the floor, and the top of the glass is 36 inches above the floor, 36-inch walkway on either side of the glass. So you'll see this on a lot of our bay windows. You'll see this on our doors. You'll see it on storms. You'll see this on our patio doors, our all-glass doors, sliding doors. And the reason that is because tempered glass, when it breaks, it doesn't have big shards or glass. They just break up into itty-bitty little tiny pieces, kind of like what we talked about the windows of our car. And the reason that is because you don't want them big. If you fall through it, for one, it's tougher. It's going to be harder to break. But if you don't want to, something go through it, and then you got a shard but it could just kill you. It's just that dangerous. So they definitely has areas. Now, when we do an inspection, and of course, home inspections, we're not really normally checking for tempered type glass or the right applications because of code compliancy, grandfathered in, yada, yada, yada. But when I'm inspecting for codes, a lot on our tempered glass, look down on the corners, and it'll say it's stamped. It's real hard to see because they're not trying to be intrusive, but you'll see where it says tempered glass. That's how we know, because it's really difficult to really tell whether it's tempered or not just by actually looking at it. There's ways that you could do it, and we'll try to talk about that a little bit more here in the future of the show. But tempered glass is normally about 4 times stronger than regular glass. And like I said, it's known for its safety. Whereas that other glass we was talking about 300 times. That's just some crazy stuff. Crazy stuff. Now, do I need tempered glass in my bathroom? Great question. Well, tempered glass, we like to have them around our showers, bathtubs. You'll see tempered glasses normally behind. Say if you got a bathtub, a wet area, a shower, and that and it's up in the window, like same requirements, okay, that you're off the floor, all that we just mentioned, but you don't want to slip and fall and go through that window. So it's supposed to be tempered glass. So you want to make sure that whenever you get your house built or somebody's replacing the glass, they get the right stuff put in there. Most of your window people will know exactly the right type, and they're going to cost you a little bit more, but it's really worth it, and especially for safety. All right, so we kind of went on our safety glass. Let's move over to a little bit more over to our energy savings glass. And this is the one I know almost everybody's heard of a lot, and low E glass. We mentioned it just a few minutes ago at the beginning of our show, but low E. And so what does low E mean? Low immensity. That's a glass that was created to amount a certain amount of infrared, and it's really and where one of the questions I get asked is, where do I put this this low E? Is it supposed to be outside, inside? How do I clean my windows? Well, we like to see it on a single pane piece of glass. This will be on your inside of your glass, because that works the best. Now, low E actually is a tin material. I know that sounds crazy, don't it? Tin, but you don't see it. You're not realizing it. But that tin literally is reflecting your energy back. If it's a double pane piece of glass, you've got 2 pieces of glass, your double panes, or you got 2 pieces sealed together. We talked about. That's going to be inside of one of those pieces of glass. So don't worry about that being a problem. But we do actually have some single pane glass that has low E. So what are some of the benefits of low E windows? Well, low E energy windows reduce energy cost. And by like I said, it helps block the infrared from penetrating the glass from the outside. Low E also reduces destructive UV rays. Perfect example. Your curtains. And you got a big set of curtains or shades or something, and you notice how you get that fading, in front of your windows, or that's that UV rays that are literally doing that. It also will deteriorate and fade your flooring, your carpeting, your furniture. So these are considerations why you want to think about the low E. Now, we talked about the solar glass, so you're going to have a compromise there. We could talk, and when I do another solar course show, we'll talk more about that kind of stuff at that time. I just love that. That's pretty cool stuff. But now, another question, low E windows do not block all the natural light. Like I said, you'll still get it. You won't even know. There's ways of checking it, but you won't even know that you got it. So think about that. It's worth the money. It'll save you. It will save you in the long run. Now, how long does this low E windows last? The coating, that's a great question, because we talked about some of our windows lasting 20, 30 years, right? 45 years. But the low E coating really doesn't last that long. This is from I got this information directly from the glass companies, not from window companies, glass companies. And normally our low E windows last about 10 to 15 years. Kind of disappointing, but definitely it's worth. You'll save that money in the short and its time that you are, and it doesn't just like disappear. It just kind of deteriorates. So you want to think about that. Now, there's two types of low E glass. You got your hard coat and you got your soft coat. And as you can imagine, they have different properties. In fact, they kind of even look different. A hard coat low E glass is manufactured by pouring a thin layer of molten tin on the sheet. Remember we talked about that? On the glass, while it's still molten. So it's pretty neat. And then, of course, the soft coat, is just it's a different type of a system. Cleaning low E glass. That's a good question. Now, like I said, if it's a double pane, don't worry about it. If it's a single pane, you want to think about it. You cannot use an ammonia type base material, glass cleaner, but Windex, things like that, just fine. Don't worry about it. They clean right up. So, one of the ways that we talk, I've been kind of leading up to this, so here it is. How can homeowners tell if their windows have a low E glass? Well, one of the things you might want to know, why you want to know that, is if your window company sold you an upgrade low E, you want to make sure he actually sold you what you were supposed to. How we do an inspection, if people ask me, well, do I have low E glass? Well, you can hold a match or a pin light up to the front of the window. If the window contains a low E glass, one of the images will be a different color than the rest of the images. So you got your double pane, right? So you'll see the two different, you'll have the reflections. So you'll see the different code, you'll see a different color flame. And if the window does not have the low E, you'll see the same colors all the way through. Hey, that's a pretty cool little tip right there. That's worth listening to the whole show over, if nothing else, so you don't get ripped off. Well, folks, that's, there's a lot of little information on the windows here, and I hope that this has been informational. I know that there's a whole lot more to it, but these are just kind of some of the primary things that we're looking for. When you're looking at your windows, we have a wide range of window glass types, wide range of R values, U values, and honestly, you can get up there. Well, you say, well, do I need the same kind of glass in Alaska or Canada that I do in, say, Missouri, or do I do in Florida? No, you don't. You can get a different types of glass, different types of R value, U value. We have windows now that are so powerful that they have an R value of that's as high as the walls. That way that's where you can actually, you can have your beautiful windows, and you can have your insulation value. And then, of course, more in the Midwest, we don't have that as much. We have extreme weather, but we don't have it to the ultimate extremes. And then, of course, in our heated areas, you really you want the beautifulness of the glass, but you don't want to have to pay that extra, that you would in another area. So think about that. Think about what's best. Do a little bit of research. What's best for your particular application where you're at. Because now, honestly, I think, and we just don't see a lot of this, but my personal feelings is if you have an R13 or an R20 insulation, then I think it's not a bad idea to have your glass the same way, the same R value. Of course, it's going to be important that it's installed correctly so you're not getting air infiltration and things like that coming through. But try to get if you can. We don't normally do that, but if you're going to be in your forever home, it's really worth the extra money to spend. We also have some new glass out there, and we're learning more and more about this, where it actually can collect. This is really neat. Now, we don't see this on homes because they just don't see it much, but it really is a solar electric collector. You can literally produce electricity, or they're doing it now. It's more of a frontier, so I'm not advising you folks to run out here and buy this, but it really is coming along. Do your research. If you're doing a commercial building, it might be well worth it because of the electric cost. Right now, God, thank the Lord, we got low energy cost, but when it's not going to be cheap forever, and when it goes up, it's going to be more imperative that we do these kind of solar installations or things that we could do to help save money. Does it add a lot of value to your home? Forget we'll bounce back just to the insulated glass. Yes, it does add value to your home. Your home with good windows, insulated glass, is going to be worth more money than if you just had your old regular windows and storm windows. Well, folks, I hope that this has been inspirational to you. I hope that this has been fun. I really, really enjoyed sharing this with you. And I know I haven't touched base on everything. But if you guys have any questions, and I hope you do, I love questions, please reach out. You can, like I said, get a hold of us through our webpage, Galloway Building Services, www.gallowaybuildingservices.com, our Facebook at Galloway Building Services. Call me I'll give you the office number, and I'll give you my personal cell phone. My office number, call there, tell them you got a question, 636-394-3112, or on my personal cell phone. Now, if I'm on a job, I don't normally answer it, but leave a message, and that is 314-520-6655. Thank you, folks, for listening to the show. And if you got us on YouTube, if you found us out there on YouTube, hit subscribe. Not only will you get the radio shows, but you'll get all of the new videos that come out. And we try to put new videos out once or twice a week. They're all how-to, great information. One of the ways we're going to get a higher quality product in this world is by us, the consumer, being more informed. And that's what I'm trying to do here with this show, is educate us all so we can all do better, have a better product, better results, and be a lot happier. Thank you, folks, for listening to our show. I want to give as usual, I got to give a shout out to our producer, Joey. He takes good care of us. We talk about, he's don't listening right here, but we was talking about him at the office today, and everybody just loves Joey. He's a great guy to work with. If cheap plug, he's not asked me to do this, but if you guys ever need anybody to help you do producing this show or doing any videos, give him a call. He didn't give me permission to give his last name, but just touch base. I'll give it to you. Thanks, folks. Appreciate your time. and check our next show.
Sponsored by Troy Galloway and Galloway Building Services, your top choice for professional home inspections in the St. Louis area. GallowayBuildingServices.com.